Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far, with FaZe being undefeated once again heading into the first major tournament of the season. Some have suggested they're getting a little bit salty, a little bit tight about the fact that they've been so good for so long at this point, but still don't get the respect they believe they might deserve from the fan base here in Call of Duty Competitive. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Really up to the channel, thank you very much indeed for doing that. Just a few days time, battle in LA is heating up as well. It's possible this weekend we get Los Angeles Thieves versus Los Angeles Guerrillas for the first time with these new rosters, if LA Guerrillas beat London and if Los Angeles Thieves beat Toronto. Both of those are very much undetermined right now. It's difficult to call this coming weekend. Just to mention real quick some updates on the league play front, because there was some talk, what are they going to do with the SR? Are they going to reset it? What's the plan over here? Now, as Lawrence Metten says from the Treyarch side, we're discussing options here. We'd rather not wipe everyone's SR before the Season 3 reset. We do know who's been disconnecting and are evaluating significant SR adjustments to penalise these players. Clay says just wipe it, right? Get rid of it. Let's just go again from scratch, I suppose. But then Crimsix also goes, hang on a second, you're going to penalise everyone based on you guys messed up, right? Well played. What are you playing at over here? So yeah, wonder what they're going to do about this. They might do some adjustments. They might not do some adjustments. One of the key things right now with the SR here in league play, because at the end of the day, I really want it to be that these kind of 3,000, 3,400 elo matches are the ones just between pros and top amateurs, as it used to be back in the World War II days. I think we'll get there eventually, right? And the leaderboards won't be super, super dodgy, but we'll see what Treyarch decide to do on this front over time. Let's dive into this then, because Chino, of course, retired last year effectively after he was on Los Angeles Guerrillas, the main roster for a while. Then, he was considering what he was going to do. I think he was on the academy team as well. Comes into the main team. Honestly, was pretty good for LAG last year. Obviously, the team was pretty terrible anyway. They weren't going to do anything spectacular, but Chino was a solid player for them. He's won events in the past back in the World War II days as well. And then I think at the end of this season, or at the end of last season, going into this year, he said, look, I'm going to retire, I'm going to pursue content, that's the route I want to go down. But I think a lot of these players really, they kind of get that competitive itch again, and maybe competitive Warzone and stuff doesn't really do it for them, and they want to come back and make some sort of return. And of course, they can do content alongside that as well, I suppose, as well. So, it seems like Chino's back in business, as well as tweeted out right here, first pro point match of the year, and Crone found out that his team is the following: Censor, Paulex, and Venom. So, cracking team, to be honest. This is a really exciting squad, because I've kind of been hoping that Doug Censor will get a pretty good team for a while now. I want to see what Doug Censor can do on a good squad, kind of get into the elites, at these type of questions, because, Doug's going to need to get on a good team if he wants to get himself back into the Pro League at some point. So, of course, all these three players, Venom was on Los Angeles Thieves last year for a time, Paulex was on the London Royal Ravens last year, Chino was on Los Angeles Guerrillas on the starting roster, so I guess Censor's next up is very obvious. But yeah, pretty cool to see Chino back in business, I thought here. But speaking of Censor, he definitely had a few words to say on the FaZe situation a few days ago. So we well know that Censor and Simp have kind of had these back and forth the last few months about content, right? And Doug thinks, like, a lot of these players, the best players in the world, they need to step up and make way more content if we want our league to grow, and these guys actually just still have a job in a few years' time here making bank in the COD League. Now, of course, and Hex has kind of echoed a similar opinion, right? That some of these players, in the future, yes, there'll be players that, this league will be so big, these players can just, sit back and relax, collect their incredible paychecks, and not have to worry a thing about content. But nowadays, we're not really at that position, right? And there was a back and forth about this quite a while ago, and Doug actually goes on in this clip I'm just about to share that, Simmy reckons was pretty salty, right, about the whole situation. But there's more than that that's been discussed, right? Because, of course, there's been some trash talk coming through, the likes of, the likes of Simp coming out and saying, you're horrible at Crimsix, and this whole, personality and villain personality that it seems like the FaZe guys have kind of adopted. The guys here on the reverse group were wondering, okay, look, is this all forced, or is this just, do they actually feel some frustration towards some of these players, or to the community in general? Because the fact of the matter is, FaZe have dominated Call of Duty for quite a long time at this point. Part of the Modern Warfare season, they were very good. They made a lot of grand finals at least that year. Then last year in Cold War, they were out of control. Won, 4 out of the 6 events last year, right, pretty comfortably, including the World Championship. And now this year, again, they're the only team so far in the regular season to be undefeated, even though pretty much every other team in the offseason designed their squad with the sole purpose of taking these guys down. But despite all this, they still seem to kind of be the villains in the eyes of the COD community. They're kind of going down that route, and maybe they're getting, somewhat frustrated and tight, as Enable describes it, as a result.
The anger I've seen Simp actually was when I tweeted him about a month ago about the COD League and the infrastructure of it. I'm like, dude, there's not gonna be any tournaments for you to win if no one's making content. And he's like, I'd rather focus on being a dumb master. He got super mad.
I did see that.
I was like, Chris, Simp and I got in a debate on Twitter, and I got under his skin. I know I did, because he got really pissed off. He was angry at me. He was like, I'd rather be a dub master, like a W, like a dub, DUB.
Just a champion?
Yeah, like his
could
final
have just
words.
said champion.
Yeah. But that's how he talks. Like that's the way he is. He's like, yo, I'd rather be a dub master than focus on this crap. Like, oh, you don't understand how it is, dude. Like I'm like, dude, I understand exactly how it is. Don't talk to me like I don't. Like just because you're a dub master and you're the king and you're one of the best, and I tell you all the time, doesn't mean I'm also not going to put you in your place when I have to.
Do you think that they're like finally starting to get tight because they are so successful, right? They're the best team the past couple years. But no matter what, and this relates to the whole content thing and competing, they're not as big as Scump. They don't have as much love as Scump or as much love as Crim. Or
I think they're
Clay.
delusional if they expect that.
No, I know. Yeah, which you're right. But like, I mean, Pat, just imagine if we were in their situation. I mean, you were basically in their shoes. You know,
yeah,
you
but
was with
I
everything,
never.
But nobody gave a about you because Scump was around.
Wait, people care. But I had Nade shot. Nade shot was something I had to worry about. But listen,
There you go.
I think maybe partially.
Like you think they're like we're the best. Like why are you not? I
think it's more that they probably feel that they don't have enough respect for what they've done. Because you got to think like look at him. Look at MC, right? He's always getting discredited for how he plays, right? He's disgusting, but every time he's abusing a bug or the snaking, discredited. Simp and aBeZy, they're not looked at as like the probably what they feel like the best ever right now. So I think it's a level of respect, but I think they'd be delusional to anticipate being like the fan favorites in comparison to like Scump and Crim because
So this was that tweet thread back in December that Censor was kind of referencing right here. He reckons that Simp will be very angry about this. This is the angriest he's actually seen him. Like this is the whole dub master discussion right here. I'd rather be a dub master than a streamer, he says. This mentality is why the only people who blew up these guys, you click start streaming, close your chats, and simply play the game. All this discussion that we had a few months ago now. And Censor reckons Simp was getting, well, pretty salty about this whole discussion, to be honest. But of course, the other part of it is, like, do they feel like they have the respect they deserve, right? Are they getting frustrated that they've dominated Call of Duty for quite some time, but yet no one's necessarily given them quite the respect? Of course, the whole Cellium thing, like in this tweet thread here from January, not that long ago, when, as Simp says, well-deserved loss for doing this in a match, and Kenny says, look, same energy should be applied to snaking. We're not ready for that combo, right? Basically, like, echoing an opinion that a lot of the fans have, really, about, Cellium, yes, he's a disgusting player. He has like a 1.28 KD so far this season, but even though he has that crazy stats, and obviously he's an incredibly talented player, one of the best we've ever seen in Call of Duty, whenever you mention Cellium, always you think about the snaking, you think about, kind of abusing mechanics within the game, and therefore there's always like a credit that gets taken away from him to some degree, despite his obviously incredible talent on this roster. And that's almost like a caveat that some people have had with this FaZe team in general, that's okay, yes, they're pretty dominant, but they do XYZ that it helps them win. So maybe this kind of frustration that the FaZe guys have with the fact that, okay, yes, still these guys, Crim6, Priestahh, Scump, all the veterans, of course, like, as Egg says, they'd be delusional to expect that they'd be as popular as these guys already, but still, these guys are way more loved in the community in general than the FaZe guys. I think this kind of happens when you just win everything, right? The people get kind of frustrated with the dominance, but as you can see right here, last year, since they formed this roster of 4, Stage 1 Major, Stage 2 Major, they make the Grand Finals. The only Major they don't make the Grand Finals is they come top 8 at Stage 5, of course, but then they go on to win the World Championship anyway. Now, I don't know if this is a reasonable comparison at all. You guys can let me know in the comments, but when I heard the guys talking about this, I thought immediately of Djokovic in tennis. If you guys don't follow tennis, I'll try and explain the backstory of the situation, but let's ignore the recent Australian Open drama as well. But it did not take me long at all to find an article like this from 2015, where Djokovic, at the time, has been pretty much the dominant player of the last few years, but he's in an era with Federer, with Nadal, with, very loved players within the scene. Like, it's kind of interesting, right? Because it's not just about winning. I think Djokovic has said in interviews and stuff that, like, he's frustrated, really, that, he does all this stuff, like, he's such a fantastic player for so many years now, and if he continues at this rate, may well go down as the greatest ever, but he doesn't have the same admiration from the tennis fans as the likes of Federer or the likes of Nadal do. Like, he's always been seen as a bit of a villain, right? And I'm sure from his perspective, like, that's kind of like, look, I want to be the greatest ever, I want to win all these championships, but there's also an element that you want to be adored by the fans, right? You want to be loved by the fans, you want to go down in history as not only being a great player, but also being like one of the most popular, and that's not something Djokovic has been able to do, and I'm sure it's been frustrating for him personally, and I can maybe see that a little bit coming out from the FaZe guys, right? That they maybe feel like they deserve more respect than they have had, and I'm sure all competitors want to go down revered as the fans, as as, you know, some of their best players and favorite players. But of course, well, the way it's gone with FaZe hasn't been like that, right? So they, I guess maybe as a result of this, right, and maybe the guys are onto something, that are getting a bit tight about this, that they're trying to, well, embrace that kind of villain narrative and villain arc, because if they do it the other way around, they don't really get the fan support that they feel like they deserve, right? So it's an interesting topic of discussion. Intrigued to your perspective in the comment section below. Just this from us as well, talking about FaZe. Every time I play Gavutu, I get killed by a new head glitch. Definitely frustrating the way Gavutu has gone at the last few weeks or so of the Pro League, because when it first started, there was actually some offensive wins. The main problem is right now, and hopefully they fix this before the start of Stage 2, but the problem is, of course, that there's like only a few days between the end of Major 1 and the start of Stage 2, so hopefully they can turn this around at some point. But the issue is, I think, that teams were actually trying to win offenses at the start, and now they realise if we get most kills on defense, let's just turtle up in spawn and not even try to win, because now there's only an 18% offensive win rate this season right now, which is lower than it was at the start. And well, usually you would imagine that over time teams would get better at offense, as they did last year, for example, on Garrison, and I'm sure they will do this year, but right now the incentive isn't there. If you get like one more kill than your opponent on defense, fantastic stuff, let's just turtle up in our spawn on offense, and not even risk trying to get the control point just so we can hold on for defense round 5. If the teams actually had an incentive to push every single round, then I'm sure this would go up to like 30, 35, maybe even higher percentages as the season progressed. But yeah, certainly something the Censor need to act on very quickly indeed. This also, because Shotzi was reacting to this on stream last night, and I just thought it was funny because I was looking back at 11th of February, not sure when this is meant to go live, maybe after this major, maybe relatively soon, but yeah, when Illy sound the headset, always an entertaining time, to be honest. Like the frustrations that happened the first couple of events of the season, unfortunately we don't get to see the entire thing. I want to see the aftermath, honestly, of what happened to the headset. Maybe we will see in due course. And just to mention this as we close out the video, did a set of interviews over the last couple of days on the Breaking Point channel. The Pred one's now live, the Kenny one may be live soon as well. I talked to Zed, I talked to Dave Pandy of Florida, I talked to Gizmo as well of London. So very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Check all this beautiful content out. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hitting the like button tells the YouTube gods it's a good video. I'd also like you should see it as well, and upgrade the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you as always, take care, and I will see you next time.
Yeah, no, I want a 360.
Where's your third? He's peeking the third.
Come on.
Right there.
What?
Oh my god, no. Shut nah. You just hit marker that? What the?
Yo, you should have died, bro.
That was nuts. All I saw was you spin in the air. And
Yo, now you should give me those $100.
Wait, I didn't meet you, Chris.